Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Payal, hello world. It's Rome Madison, the everyday superstar, and we're having a little technical difficulties trying to get the Pastor Fred Thomas to come through. Hopefully, he joins us live shortly. But I wanted to welcome all of you and thank you for joining the Superstar Summit. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera on so you can see me. Payal, here I am. Welcome to the Superstar Summit, monthly live seminar on Google+. We'll be doing this every month. The purpose of this live seminar is to bring experts in various areas of achievement in life that are going to impart wisdom and knowledge to help you get more of what you want in your life. More love. We have experts coming up this year that are going to help you do that. More money, more freedom, whatever it is. And I appreciate your feedback because I don't want to give you what I feel that's right to give you. I want you to get what you want. So connect with me via social media. You can Google me, Rome Madison. Many of you are also already members of my newsletter and my email distribution list. But go to romemadison.com. You can connect with me on social media through my links there if you've got them. Connect with me on Twitter, anything at Rome Madison. I'm Googleable. So you can connect with me there to get updates and free tools that will help you create increase in your life. As you can see, I'm in a hotel room, the life of a speaker. I'm in Chicago, Illinois. And in the background, you may see some floating objects coming through. Those are not UFOs. Those are airplanes coming in and out of O'Hare as I'm right by a hotel. Today, I was at a Ken Blanchard situational leadership course where I was facilitating leadership tools and tips and strategies for corporations, human resource managers, executives. And this is a week-long course, so I'm here and it's cold. As you can see, I'm inside and I have a sweater on. I don't know what the temperature is outside, but it's cold. And it's cold in my room. But the Superstar Summit, to give you a little backdrop, it's all about you discovering and tapping into your star power. Every single one of you out there has star power potential. And we're not talking about celebrity status or what you see on social media. Everyone's trying to be someone, because we live in a culture that tells us that we can have more, do more, and experience more in life by being someone we're not. But what I have for you is experts, tools, and resources that are going to help you identify and tap into that thing that's inside of you, that you came to this world, you were birthed with, that is there to help you create more of what you want in your life. And that is called your star power, that inner ability to create more of what you want using the tools, using the resources, the ideas, the gifts, the talents that you already have in your life. You have a treasure chest full of riches inside of you that is waiting for you to open it and manifest it. And that's what the Everyday Superstar is all about. Using those tools and those gifts. And when you're using those to the highest of your ability, you shine with everyday star power. Jesus said on his Sermon on the Mount that you are a light on the hill that cannot be put out. You are a light to others. You are a light to the world. And when you use those gifts, you shine. It's kind of like watching Michael Jackson when I was a young kid. When you watch Michael Jackson talk and speak, when you see him dancing, moving in ways that my body probably cannot do, he inspired you to do more with yourself. Now, I can't dance, but I'm watching Michael Jackson. I feel that I can dance, but that's the type of effect that superstars have on us. They bring out the best in us. It makes it okay for us to stretch and reach for those things that we want to accomplish. Pastor Fred, I hope you're trying to connect and see if we can get him on the line. We're setting up, for those of you who are joining, we're setting up the call. and we are going, Pastor Fred. How you doing, my brother?
Hey man, how you doing?
Awesome, awesome. For those of you who are not familiar with Pastor Fred, we're going to get to an introduction in a minute. I've been talking and introducing the purpose of this particular Google Hangout series that we're doing. And welcome to a new year, 2015. And for those of you who every year, when we turn the calendar from December to January, something about turning that calendar is just another overnight. It's one day going into another. But there's something about going into that new year that prompts us to be a new you. To do something in 2015 that we did not do in 2014. To create something this year that we did not have in our lives last year. And I was recently reading a study in the Journal of Clinical Psychology done at the University of Scranton, and they did a study on those who set goals in their life. And in the study, they looked at the U.S. population and found that only 58% of those in the study set goals. Now, I'm going to park there to kind of remind you, and there's a great quote by a wise man who once said, in order to have a life beyond your wildest dreams, you first got to have some wild dreams. So if you're going to accomplish some goals, if you're going to be a new you got to have something that you're striving for, something that you're trying to reach in 2015. So no matter if you had goals last year that you gave up on, it's never too late to start striving toward those. And in that study of 58% of those people who set goals, the study found that only 8% of people actually reach their goals. So the question that we're going to try to answer here today is, what's the difference between those 8% and everyone else who doesn't accomplish their goal? What's the difference? What are the hurdles that they have to overcome? How are they getting it done? And I have an expert for you in the area of goal setting that is going to give you some knowledge and some wisdom and some motivation to do it. Now, Pastor Fred Thomas is a Christian comedian, and a few months ago, I was perusing through my social media platforms, and I came across a video that I've got to show you as I get my screen ready here. Gotta love live television, Pastor Fred. But I can't adequately give him an introduction. So I'm going to let this video introduce itself.
eating 6 pancakes and late at night. That ain't right. And I need you to be my friend. One we can depend on. I'm your friend. And family ain't gonna leave you out. Why would you call me when you know my blood pressure is high? And you done cook a good chin ham. And I love him. And you know I can't eat it. But you tempting me. And you know it's gonna take my blood pressure higher. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Cause it ain't no fun being sad. So help me. Don't kill me. I don't want to die eating a piece of pie. I don't want the doctor to cut off my C. Cause you make the tea extra sweet. I don't want to have a heart attack. Cause you make greens with all that setback. Yes, it ain't no fun being sad. I'm afraid that the ones that try to make me eat are gonna be the ones that help the Undertaker drop me 6 feet. It ain't no fun being fat.
Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the Superstar Summit, Pastor Fred Thomas.
Hey.
My goodness. Every time I see that, it brings tears to my eyes. You see the comments on Facebook, and people are rolling.
Wow.
Pastor Fred, oh my goodness. I just want to say, congratulations on building your brand, for really putting being courageous and putting it out there in the way that you did, and in the manner and the spirit in which you're doing it is really touching a lot of people. I mean, that's the first video that I saw. I know that D.L. Hughley picked that up. I know that, oh my goodness, you've been on the radio in Atlanta, all over the country. You have tens of thousands of followers on social media. What has it been, and what really encouraged you to put that out there in such a public forum?
Well, first of all, man, just thank you for allowing me to be here with you tonight, to share a little bit about me and what's going on with me, and how it can possibly help someone else. But I'm just sitting at my desk and I'm seeing these videos about food and making fun of eating. And a young man by the name of Marcel Adams had recently made some videos, and he had gone viral, 23 years old, about eating after church and eating at events. And to say Marcel passed a few months after I started these videos. But when I did the first one, it just wasn't about eating. I said, it may be fun getting fat, but it sure ain't no fun being fat.
Yeah.
So we did it. We stepped out August 27th, and I can't tell you, it just took a life of its own. People thought the message was funny, but they knew it was real.
Yeah.
So it just caused a lot of people, grandmothers from Florida, saying thank you for allowing our family to laugh, and my family hadn't sat together and laughed in years, and so that was really assuring just from the first one. So I jumped right on and started adding some more to it. So it's been a real crazy ride.
It is incredible. Your videos are incredible. It truly does touch a lot of people. And the word that you use is real. When you come on, everybody who has been to a black church, an African American church, can relate. And I remember when I first saw the video, and when I got over laughing, I had to watch it again. I was like, was that real? So I watched it again, And oh my goodness, it is side splitting funny. But the thing that you said, it is real. It is real, and that's what
Yes.
really translates and touches people. But as I understand it, see, you speak to a number of audiences. This is not just a message about losing weight. Tell us a little bit about your background and your journey to, how you got to where you are.
Well, 17 years we've been preaching the gospel. Have been blessed to pastors a couple of great churches, evangelized all across the country. I've traveled the road singing since I was 16 with various different groups on the Chitlin circuit and places
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So had a good run with that and enjoyed it. So God has always had us before the people. I enjoy the stage. It's a place where I'm comfortable. I enjoy seeing people excited by what's going on, whether it be preaching or singing or whatever it is. I enjoy watching the people enjoy. So it's been good for me. It's all I've ever really done. I've never been a football guy. I've never been a sports guy. I've never been any of that. I've always been into the music and ministry scene and making people laugh. And little did I know that making people laugh would, some 30 years later of just being me would, come into what's happening right now.
now you're a Christian comedian, and obviously you pastor. You've been doing this for quite a while, but your message is transportable because it's about discipline. There's a lot of lessons in there. What other audiences do you speak to?
Well, we've been blessed to speak to youth groups. We're right now we're planning to work with the improv to get even into the comedy stores and places like that, but as well as corporate. There's a lot of retention with employees and nonprofits. Anywhere they will allow us to come to try and speak some encouragement to people, because especially in the workplace, because I believe a lot of companies now are finding out that if our people feel better about themselves, they'll do better work. Uh, their level of integrity increases. So, and people just need to laugh about things. Laughing, the Bible says, laughter is like medicine. So it causes a healing. So it's some doors have been opened that we've been able to go far beyond just the walls of the church, but to other areas where people can see that Jesus loves them just beyond a shout and a dance. There's so much more to him, so many more layers to who he is, and laughter is one of those means that he uses to draw people.
Absolutely. So from the bottom of my heart, I sincerely appreciate you being a guest on the Superstar Summit, really taking the time out to work with me to bring this information to the masses, because I think you have a powerful message. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about today is discipline. Discipline is the
Mm.
breakfast of champions. So when we're talking about losing weight, and obviously Pastor Fred is a public campaign with being fat is not fun, but it's not about just losing weight. When it comes to any goal, when you wake up in the morning and throughout your day, you're going to have a healthy dose of discipline if you want better results in your life. When you identify what you want to accomplish, when you identify a goal or a resolution, if you're going to be serious about it, there's some things you've got to change. So what it comes down to is discipline. Discipline is the breakfast of champions. No matter what you eat, you've got to have a healthy dose of discipline with whatever you're trying to accomplish if you're going to accomplish your goals. But the problem is, a month later, 2 months later, down the line, when things get tough, you revert back to your old habits. You fall out of it. At first, you started out and you were in the zone when you were changing your habits, when you were doing new things, but now the thrill is gone. So what we're going to try to have Pastor Fred Thomas do today is answer that question: how can we stay in the zone long after the thrill is gone? So Pastor Fred, if you can address real quick, what is the difficulty, what is the challenges that people have with just staying on track with the goals?
Well, I'll tell you, for myself, not having a level of accountability, not having people always telling you what you need to do, but nobody that's doing it in a fashion where they love you enough to give you that drive. I
Wow.
know I needed to lose weight. I've had doctors tell me that I was going to die and I was going to choke out. I mean, because of the sleep apnea. I mean, they didn't leave any stone unturned. But that still wasn't motivating me enough to stay out of the donut shop. So, so excuse me. So when I put this video up, and you got people that you don't even know that are saying you can do it, you can make it. I'm with you. I need to be on the journey, and it just gave you this whole new sense of responsibility. I feel like there's thousands of people that are laying in my hands saying you gotta do it. So I think when there's some level of accountability and you take responsibility for your actions, it'll keep you consistent. Because if we don't stay consistent, and one thing I'm doing is I'm taking it 1 mile at a time, one meal at a time,
Yeah.
one day at a time.
Yeah.
Because where I failed at in the past is trying to get it all done at the same time and don't see the results. But when you take it one day at a time, you fall off the wagon, get back on, keep on riding. Don't worry about what people say, because the naysayers are who they're gonna do what they're gonna do. But if you fall off the truck, take out running and get back on it, and you'll get the expected end.
Yeah, absolutely. You said one thing that I don't want to step on. I want to make sure that people really catch is a lot of times when we try to make change in our lives, we try to do a lot of things to make change. We try to throw out the pantry. We try to, shred our clothes. My wife throws out, my stuff, and she don't ask me, but she throws it out when we try to make change. But
Woohoo! Been
yeah,
there.
hey, yeah. But the thing is, you said keep it simple. Don't try to do everything at one time. And even if you fall off the wagon, start again. And people, there's a fair amount of guilt. There's a fair amount of pain associated with failure. But talk a little bit about how we can just keep it simple and just stay focused on doing one small thing.
Well, for me, like once this journey started, something I didn't expect to happen, but I knew at some juncture I said, okay, now I understand why. I got tons of inboxes for every brand new fad diet there is. Everybody was saying, this is what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But through my journey in the past, I've realized that there's certain things, I'm not just going to wake up and not want a donut anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not
Krispy
just going
Kreme's the
to,
bomb.
right, especially in Atlanta where the hot light comes on. I'm not just going to not want sweet tea. I know it's bad for my kidneys and things, but it's just going to take me a minute to keep pulling back, and I learned about portion control. So it takes some time for you to find out what's best for you. Everybody has answers when they're talking to you, but you have to find what's best for you. I have a really good doctor that's really honest with me, and he gives me an opportunity to make some changes before he starts doing all these other different things and making all these diagnoses. He says, hey, I want you to see what you can do. I'm giving you a challenge. And it's a challenge. I hadn't been little ever unless the day I was born. So I've been this size. I've been comfortable being who I am. I've never had low self-esteem, but now it's starting to result in health issues. So changes have to be made, but they have to be made in a fashion where you know that you're going to do it pace by pace, piece by piece, day by day, and be real honest with yourself. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. There are some things that you have to do to be your own accountability partner and to be real and honest with who you are.
Absolutely. So, that's what you're here for. That's is why you're watching, is to find out what are the tools, what are the tips, what are some strategies that you can do to stay in the zone long after the thrill is gone. So, Pastor Fred, if you can, I think you've got a few tips for us and strategies that you can help. And then again, this is not just about losing weight. This is about accomplishing anything. Some of the greatest goals, every year, number one goal is for people to lose weight. Number two, according to this same study that I quoted earlier in the Journal of Clinical Psychology, is to make more money. Another one is to get organized. Whatever your goal is, no matter how big or small it is, these are principles that you can implement and apply. And we asked Pastor Fred to come on and give us his special message about how you can stay in the zone even when the thrill for your goals is gone. So Pastor Fred, take us through how we can stay on track when it comes to our goals.
Well, when I was sitting up with a partner of mine, and we were discussing some things that are going on, with all the videos and that kind of thing. And God gave me an acronym for FAT, facing all trials.
Wow.
What I'm faced with may not be your dilemma, but trials come to make us strong. I think sometimes we get so caught up in the trial and the why that we don't move forward. And to me, it's like us sitting out in a boat. You're just sitting there in the water. You have a paddle and you got to make some decisions. You got to do something. Faith without works is dead. You got to do something. So what I've applied is what I call the row theory. You got to row. You can't just sit there and allow the waves to carry you somewhere that may not be your destiny. But if I'm going to get to where my expected end, I've got to put something into it. I've got to row. So what do you mean by row? I'm really not an acronym guy, but it sounds good. So these things come together to help explain what I'm talking about as far as rowing is concerned. First of all, the R, realize your reality. Here's the thing. I'm fat. I know they don't like saying the word. Your real friends, and your friends be lying to you, because they be talk, well, man, you ain't really fat. Oh, it's just, you just big bone. No, we ain't big bone. I'm fat. So because I'm fat, that's the way for me to deal with me. Okay, what issues come along with being fat? This is my reality. This is not a game. This is me. I'm fat. Southwest doesn't make seats for fat people, and I was just on a plane, and these are realities that we have. We got to realize, okay, I'm fat. Fat is not good for me. Fat is not profitable for me, and that's just my reality. Ain't no need of crying about it. Ain't no need of falling in the floor. Got to do something. So next of all, there's that O, R-O. Operate the objectives. There are things that you can do. This can change. That's the part that people really have to get caught up in, because we get this middle of the road syndrome as if we can't go anywhere and I'm stuck right here. But you have to realize you can change. You can change. You've got to make the necessary moves that it takes. Will you have to make 2 steps where somebody else made 1? Maybe so. But you'll still get the expected end. So you got to make some changes. So there are some objectives that have to be put in place. For me, food, how I train, different things that have to be put in place to help me get to my expected end. I can't just tell you about them. I have to put them in operation. Sometimes we can be such big talkers. We can get together, especially being the first of the year. We can have a seance with each other, telling each other what we need to do. But will we put those things in operation? That's where the faith comes from. That's where the strength comes from. The real tenacity, where you reach down in yourself, that God-given thing that He's given you, so you can move forward. It was not His intent for you to be overweight and to be struggling in your finances, or to be in the middle of a career decision. He wants you to make good decisions. But in order to do that, you first have to realize there are some tools in my life that I already have. Some of us spend a lot of time praying about stuff, and the thing is already there. Moses is praying, Lord, you see all this water in front of us, and what are we going to do? Well, Moses, use what's in your hand. I've already given you the tool that you need but you got to pick it up and let me do the rest. So if we do what we can do, if we operate the objectives, then we allow God to step in and move those things where they're in the place where they need to be. I'm a preacher, so sometimes I get off on a tangent. But
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. It's all good.
lastly is the big W. I say the big W because now we're talking about working your witness. One word fat people don't like is work. We don't want to put in the work. You know, when we pass by gymnasiums, we see hellfire and brimstone. Ain't nothing in there that we need. But in order to get where you're trying to go, you gotta put in some work. You gotta know that. And let me tell you something. What they used to tell me as a kid, you know, son, if you work and make your own money, that you'll appreciate it. When you do the work, and you know, we live in a generation now where nobody wants to put in the work, but everybody wants the results. But that's just not how it happens. If grandmama had to work in the 60s, you have to work in 2015. And it takes that. But I promise you, if you put in the work, the necessary work that it takes, you'll see the end that you expect. Now, I keep talking about an expected end because you have to have a goal. You have to know where you're going. You can't just pull the oar out of the water, out of the boat, and just start moving. You got to have some sensibility of where I'm headed to. And I say work your witness because people are watching you. Everybody's not hating on you. Some people are really applauding you for you to get to the next level. But I'll go deeper than that. Some people, you're the only Bible they read. They would have no motivation if it wasn't for you. They watch you, and you know what? A lot of times you don't really know who's watching you till you fail. People are watching you secretly. They see you, they see your journey, and they want you to succeed. You know, one of the greatest milestones I had was working with Boys and Girls Club for the years I worked with teens, and people would say, we can't get through with them. We can't get through to. Well, they wanted some consistency. And when they saw that you were going to be consistent with them every day, I'm not playing with you. I'm trying to get a message over to you. And they would become some of my best kids because they watched me be who I said I was. And if we do that, because really, here's the honest truth. Our journey is not about us. We're just factors. Our journey is not about us. You know, our lives we're here to affect somebody else. You know, we're not just lone strangers here walking around. We're people that are here that the message has to be carried. Whatever that message is that God has put you here and whatever means he uses you through, that message has to be delivered. And sometimes it's delivered just through your walk. You don't have to put a sign on your back say, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to find my career. I'm trying to find a man. I'm trying to find a woman. It's just the way you live. And if you walk these steps and keep rowing your boat, you'll get there. Eventually, you'll start seeing land. And that'll give you a brand new motivation. One step at a time. And you can make it.
Wow, Pastor Fred. You just unloaded a whole lot. So we're gonna take this road theory and we're gonna unpack some nuggets because I'm honest. So I realize this is the Superstar Summit and I'm the host. I'm sitting here taking notes. I'm the student. So if you're not taking notes, you should be. This will be a live recording on my Google Plus page. You can go to my YouTube page at Rome Madison. Please connect with us if you have heard something that you've written down. If something is really kind of hit you and caused the light to go off, that's a tweetable moment. So be sure to post that on social media, tweet that, and draw traffic. Real quick, Pastor Fred, if you're on social media, Facebook, Twitter, can you give them your social media handles so they can follow you?
The Pastor Fred. That's where I'm at on Twitter, on Instagram, and Facebook. The Pastor Fred. All one word.
The Pastor Fred. So we're going to unpack some things, and you know, I don't want you to miss anything because he really had some nuggets. So the row theory, ROW. On that first R, you said realize your reality. And something that you said when you were talking about that, that is an absolute must, is the very first thing is you have to be honest with yourself, and you have to get someone who is honest with you. That,
Right.
that's a whole call in itself. That's a whole 1 hour conversation.
And my
But
daddy used to tell me all the time, the worst person to fool is you.
mm,
Don't fool yourself. You may make the mistake of trying to fool people, but it just doesn't make good sense to fool you. I mean, you can't be 300 pounds and walk past a mirror and say, I'm really thin. And I know some people's clothing says that they don't look at themselves before they leave the house. But you got to be honest with you. There's just no way to get around some things. But I think sometimes we lie to ourselves because our self-esteem is low, and we want to believe a lie. It's safer to do that. But if you really want to be successful in whatever venture you're going for, you got to be real with you.
One of the keys of being real with you, because you said it, you can fool other people, but you can't fool yourself. No matter how you try to sugarcoat it, no matter what you tell yourself, deep down inside, you know the truth about you. And
Right.
there's someone out there saying right now, Pastor Fred, like, yeah, I understand I can be real with me, but I don't feel that I can be real with other people in my life. Can you address like some of the challenges? Because some people are in situations where they don't feel that they have someone who they can be that transparent with. What would you say to those folks?
And it sometimes it's often the person you least expect.
Mm.
It's sometimes we want it to be family, sometimes we want it to be friends, but a lot of times, because what I found out is on this journey that I have, and it's not just now, but it's been even being married, and the deeper I go in ministry, is my vine gets pruned often. There are people that are in and out of my life often. When you talk about people in for a reason and a season, I see that through my life all the time. But at some point in your life, you have to be honest in order to deal with the situation. Sometimes laughter, I found out that laughter sometimes opens us up to be able to share things that it doesn't even matter if you tell somebody. I'm not even worried about you sharing it. If you think that's going to help somebody, share it.
Mm.
Because if you want me to tell it, I'll tell it. I dealt with an issue 30 years, molested by 3 different men. I would have never in my life thought that I would share that with the world. But I did, not knowing that there were so many other young men in ministry that had been affected that way, and dealing with so many other young men and women who are going through homosexual lifestyles and all this kind of thing. And God used me to be able to speak to their issue and let them know that even though you may have been violated, you still can have the victory. So sometimes when you open up, the Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, by the word of our testimony. You don't know who will be blessed by you sharing your real. I got to write that down myself.
Yeah, man.
You got to
Somebody tweet that. Somebody tweet that.
you got to share your real. I see now. These all of these reality shows. Is a made up real. But you share your. Hey, this is what it is. And sometimes I find out when I start sharing my real, other people will start sharing their real, and they'll blow my mind because we don't look like what we've been through.
Absolutely.
And that's the blessing in it all, that God gave us the grace to go through all of these tragedies, but each tragedy that we went through helps a whole other plethora of people. And that's a wonderful feeling to know that even though I went through it, I came out, but I don't have that testimony just to glorify myself, but in order to help empower other people.
That's key. When you're talking about realize your reality, if you guys are out there, if you're having a real challenge with being honest, if you're having a real challenge with that feeling that you can't be transparent, or you're the fear of being judged, I think the one thing that can help you get a breakthrough is by truly understanding that this walk, your experiences, are not about you. We're
Right.
here and we're relational beings because it's my experiences that are going to unlock the key to someone else getting over those obstacles that are hurting them in their lives. And just as it is with me, as it is with you, you have a unique experience. You have a unique talent, a gift. You have knowledge of something that someone is waiting for you to be a part of their testimony.
Right, right.
There's something that you've been placed here for. I believe that when you are birthed in a certain situation that you have no idea, you know, we can pick our friends, but some say, unfortunately, we can't pick our family. But those experiences have not come to stay. They have come to pass. And you can pass those experiences along to someone else, and you can empower them to reach down and see something within themselves that can bring out that star power, that they can discover and tap into that powerful thing that can help them create more. And that is on you. It is something that has come into your life, but it serves as a testimony to someone else. Man, Pastor Fred, that's powerful. So I want to move on to your second was to research your objectives. And that speaks to the fact that there's something already there. There's something that you already have. You just got to find it. So talk a little bit about that when it comes to, you know, researching your objectives.
Well, I'll say this, and I don't mean this in any racist form or anything, but you know, there's a truth to the matter. You know, we've seen in the ministry culture how predominantly white churches have grown. They can build churches and schools. So what I've done is I surrounded myself with people I saw who were building mega ministries. And I wanted to know where they were. I meet with them every third Thursday of the month to hear what's going on and how it's done. You got to surround yourself with people who know more than you. When you're trying to get to the next level, you can't get so closed-minded to where you feel like, well, I'm going to do it on my own, I'm going to fix it myself. Because, you know, it's one thing to try to build by yourself, but that fall is going to come too. You got to remember, you come alone, you follow along. You know, so what I do is I try to attach myself to people. I'm not talking about riding somebody's coattail. I'm talking about I want to glean information in order for me to get what I need to get to the next level. And along the way, asking God for that discernment to know that may work for me, that may not work for me. I got to take this and I can put that back. And you put those little pieces together, become a sponge. Pick up on every little thing that can help you get to that next phase. Well, I'm in a weight loss thing. Every time Dr. Oz comes on, I'm listening. Because I figured that he knows a little bit more than I do. Mm-hmm. So you have to know that there are the tools. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel. I've said that for a million years in my years of working with people with music. You got to stop reinventing the wheel. You cannot be a musical artist and sit home and wait for the phone to ring. You got to work. You got to put in the work. If I would have had Facebook 12 years ago, I'd be rich. I mean, working records and how hard we had to get in the car and drive all over the world and call people and wait on the phone. And now you can just reach. I mean, these videos that I've released reach 700,000 people. Now just think if I had a halfway decent record, and a third of those people bought it. So the world now is at your fingertips. You just got to get somewhere and go do it. You know. Well, I don't have a computer. You can go get a computer from Rent-A-Center. You can go down to the library Discipline. That's what we're talking about tonight. Discipline yourself. Say, I'm gonna spend me 3 hours at the library. I ain't looking on Facebook. I ain't trying to look at no nasty stuff, which you ain't got no business doing anyway. But I'm gonna look for something to help me move to the next level. And I'm gonna spend the next 3 hours. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do some writing and I'm gonna do something other than sitting there watching TV. So there's some objectives out there, but you got to put them in operation. Stop waiting for somebody to do it for you. It ain't gonna happen like that.
Absolutely.
You got to operate the objectives, because God really has already paved the road. You just got to ride.
Oh man. All right. So for those of you who just joined, we're on with Pastor Fred Thomas, Christian comedian.
Yeah.
If you don't know, follow him, Google him on social media, the Pastor Fred. We're talking about discipline is the breakfast of champions, and he's in the middle of rounding out his strategies for us that can help us stay on track when it comes to achieving your goals. You're going to get tired. Yes, it's hard. Yes, you're going to get burned out, and you may revert back to your old habits, but you have to keep these things in mind. The first thing he said is to realize your reality. You've got to be honest with yourself. In order to know where you're able to get to where you want to go, you have to know where you are. And sometimes people think that you are further along than what you are, and you need not only be honest with yourself, you need someone who can be honest with you to help you know where you are. The second thing he said is to research your objectives, and he just started talking about there's tools, there's resources all around you. And stemming from that first one, if you have someone who you can be honest with and who's willing to be honest with you, those people can help you identify those resources. Les Brown says something very powerful. He says, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. It's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. Sometimes you're so close to your resources. Sometimes you have talents and skills and abilities that are so second nature to you that you take them for granted. But you've been blessed to carry those skills. You've been blessed to carry those gifts to inspire and impact other people in this world. So, Pastor Fred, realize your reality, research your objectives. Time is running short. And this is the most important thing. This is where the rubber meets the road, is working your witness. It takes taking responsibility and taking some action.
You got to work. You got to put in the work. And you got to know that what I'm doing, again, is not just to benefit me, but so many others who don't have that drive that you have. They don't even know how to dream. But if they see somebody who looks like them, who's as regular as they are, can get out there and put in the work, then not only will it be a fulfillment for what you've done physically for yourself or mentally for yourself, but how you've helped somebody else. You got to put in the work, and you got to know that distractions are coming. Anytime you get out, there's not a construction business in place that doesn't have insurance, because they know things happen. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some distractions, but you got to know how to get up and walk over the potholes and keep it moving. It is what it is. That's just a part of life. And you don't hold the clock in your hand and say, well, I know when my journey ends. No, you don't know when it's going to get there, but you can't stop working. You got to keep running. You got to keep moving forward, because to get to that expected end, it's going to take you working. So I really want to speak to everyone that's watching this. Pray and ask God to help you with your work ethic, not just what you do every day when you go to work, but what the work that it takes to get to where I'm going. I know young ladies who go to school for a certain amount of hours, come home, do a certain amount of things with their kids, and do all day in order to fulfill where they're trying to go. So don't get so caught up in your now. Get caught up in where you're going.
Absolutely. Pastor Fred Thomas, Christian comedian, speaker. Again, for those of you who are just joined, Pastor, he is an ordained minister. You can obviously hear that in his videos. He has the gift of song. He has the gift of spoken word. But Fred, tell them again the different audiences and the different arenas that you go in and speak to.
We go to churches, conventions, corporate settings, youth groups, nonprofit groups. We'll stand out in the middle of the highway because we got something to say.
Yeah.
So there's not a place that we, there's a lot of areas that we would like to go in that we haven't been blessed to go in, but there's not many audiences that we haven't been blessed to go and to reshape our message to fit whatever's going on at that time. So we're accessible to whoever needs us, and because it ain't no fun going through whatever you're going through. But we're going to come out. We're going to come out together.
Pastor Fred Thomas. He's going to take us out in his own unique way. But thank you guys for joining in this Superstar Summit Google Hangout. Discipline. Anything you do, anything that you want to create in your life, anything that you're striving for this year is going to take some discipline. Some people think that's a negative thing, but that is the exact thing that we all need to be able to stick to it and really make strides towards our goals. If you are connected with me, thank you for following me. For those of you who are not following me on social media, please Google Rome Madison. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+. Go to my website, Rome Madison. Sign up for my newsletter. You will get updates on upcoming Superstar Summits. I'm actually doing a book launch in the next 2 months. It's called Claim Your Star Power, 4 Steps to Start Where You Are and Achieve Superstar Success. The Pastor Fred Thomas. Hold on to your seat. Hold on to your seatbelt. Buckle up, because Pastor Fred, take us out in your own unique way.
Tonight I just feel led to sing you a song. Somebody needs to know they can make it. It's a very little simple song, but it has such a strong message to it, because we all get caught in the middle of the road. We think that we're not going to make it through whatever we're going through. But life is just like a big raggedy car stuck in the mud. As long as it's moving and going through and not getting stuck, we're going to the next level. So you can make it. You can make it. This trial that you're going through, God's going to show you just what to do. You can make it. You can make it. I don't care what's going on. Don't let it last too long. You're not in this thing alone. You can make it. You better make it. You're gonna make it.
Pastor Fred Thomas, the Pastor Fred Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Rome Madison, coach and mentor for Everyday Superstars. Be sure to keep it locked here. Join my Google Plus page and go through this replay and take those notes. I got wisdom for your mind, motivation for that behind. Keep it locked. 2015 is yours. And your time is now.
Now.